So I have told a version of this story many times over the years, and every time I've told it, everyone says, "Oh, you're so brave to do what you're doing. Oh, that's really brave to say that." And these are people at every level, from the highest levels of government and business to communities in rural parts of Africa. And it's just my honest observations as someone who came into a world that I knew nothing about and just observed how gross it was. I fell into the world of international development and philanthropy, coming in with 20 years of experience being an actor and a model and acting mostly here in the Bay Area. So, I've been in a lot of pitch videos for things that never even came to market. I've probably done your training on how to be a good leader and a manager. And I've swiped many a device in my 20 years and have seen the evolution of storytelling in Silicon Valley when it comes to innovation. I'm coming in with this skill set and someone who's been forced to be in unlikely situations from pretty much birth because my dad was in the military and I went to 5 schools in 12 countries before I was 18. So coming into this world that I knew nothing about as a marketing associate because I wanted to use my MBA for something once my kids were in elementary school, I just spent the first year just listening and learning, because if I'm going to market something, I should probably know something about it. And something that my colleague has told me recently that reminds me that what I am doing is the right thing. She said, "You are unlike most foreigners who come into a place assuming that they know what's best." She said, "I don't do that. I ask a lot of questions. And I ask the questions that you're not supposed to ask." But I sat around experiencing this world where I was at these fancy conferences that they spent way too much money on with so much waste, with a bunch of wealthy people sitting around a circle and patting each other on the back on how good they are. And all these decisions being made about what funding is going to the continent of Africa or other developing nations. These are happening in skyscrapers in New York, in meeting rooms and boardrooms where I look around and I don't see one African at the table. And I just am confused. And when I hear a rich philanthropist on stage saying, "We realize local people should have a voice," I am in the media wing looking around did they really just say that? It's an aha moment? And then weeks later, I am in rural spaces where the small organization that I worked for, who has been doing development work for decades. So I was able to meet with communities who have seen development happen and charity and aid come into the continent for many, many, many years. And I just asked the question of are we doing what's actually needed? What are the results of these altruistic things that these billionaires and philanthropists are saying are being done at these conferences where they're all patting each other on the back? And the amount of times that communities have said, "No one's ever asked us what we want," or how things have been since charity and aid and development have come into the continent. And that pissed me off more than anything else. You all didn't even ask if this is what was needed. And to hear countless stories of how detrimental charity and aid has been to communities, these things that they say help, has left them reliant. And no kind of charity or aid or anything was going towards them developing themselves. And, once I was in the system. I tried to like fix it from the system, and I would talk to people. I came from nowhere in this world, but I used what I knew and was curious and got myself into some rooms where I got to see like the underbelly, the yuck of what development and philanthropy looks like, and what is actually being said and decisions being made about people in Africa by people who've never spent any meaningful time on the ground. They never spent the time to listen and ask questions. And that's all I did. And, I went from marketing associate to being able to make decisions. And when I had that, all I did at the beginning was ask, what could we do better? And where I was working, the story does not end well, but I will always be grateful for the opportunity that I had to be able to learn the space through working for this organization. And this organization did it better than most. But even if you're doing better than most, I just asked, what can we do better? The things that were happening for the last 40 years, 50 years of, going into spaces and just digging a hole for people and kids to like use the bathroom in, you're still building and rebuilding pit latrines that collapsed 20 years ago. So it's just going to be this endless cycle, copy and paste, of digging holes and then digging another one right next to it 20 years later. I asked the ridiculous question of like, do you want flushing toilets? And the looks on their faces when I even asked this is like beyond, because these people who, were on our team, they all lived in apartments that had flushing toilets. When you go to Nairobi, when you go to like even really remote spaces in Africa, they have flushing toilets. So to think that people in these other spaces and in these primary schools thinking that what is best for them is to keep digging more pit latrines that collapse and kids die in them. So what we're going to do is build another hole next to it. It was preposterous. And the amount of money it costs to dig a hole in the ground was absolutely crazy. I got to see where the money went. I asked questions and oh my gosh, and even, some of the people who've been working in, African development, who are from the continent, who are so educated and experienced, they were saying that the things I was pointing out, Mzungus don't say those things. And I just couldn't let it happen anymore. And so I got to try out what it would be like to try development in a different way while still trying to work in the system. And, ways for them to develop themselves is to support small business. To me, that makes sense from someone who lives in America, was raised with the American dream, especially as someone who is a first generation. My parents are immigrants and, spent their whole lives serving this country, a country that is not their own, but has adopted us. And I am so grateful for all that we have here in America. And I wanted to be able to use my privilege and my voice to be able to be like, this is wrong. So let's try to show what it looks like to do it right. And so I got to work with my team on supporting so many usually women-led small businesses across rural spaces, and to even just learn these stories, to hear how they have solved challenges with what they have. And when you ask them what they need, they have on a full-on business plan. They have an executive board with a treasurer, a chair lady, and these small community-based organizations have been running for decades, sending kids to school, ensuring their next generation has a better go of it than they did. And the thing that I just saw was these are the stories people need to hear, because this is how development works. Supporting their small business creates income that they can then bring their community together and develop themselves. and focus on projects that they identify, that they want, using their contractors, because that also drove me insane. So when we were doing these amazing things, working with these small businesses and learning their stories, I said, these are the stories that need to be told. Not any more like sad African nonsense of poverty that makes donors, feel bad and just send in a check and have no idea what that money is being spent on. So I worked with local filmmakers to produce like mini documentaries on these amazing small businesses and the impact that a grant of $1,500 of $5,000, what it could do. And after 6 months, just seeing what they've done with it and even built upon what they said they would do, because they are so scrappy and know what to do with the money in the most efficient way, I was just like, this is beautiful. And to get the invoice on how much it costs to produce this beautiful documentary style that you would see in any film festival around the world, I was given the invoice and I felt a little sick. I knew how much money I made as a principal actor on a commercial shoot here in San Francisco. To say that a quarter of what I made is what the entire pre-production, production, post-production was. That's how much it costs to get what it... Why are we sending Western filmmakers to tell African stories? They can tell their own stories better than we ever could, and the quality is beautiful and moving and heartwarming and inspirational. So once we did this and it was really wonderful, the powers that be, which usually are, really old white men, say, you need to go back to just like digging pit latrines, and we don't see how supporting women's small businesses are supporting public health and education, which I even had my team come on and explain to them exactly how supporting small businesses run by women support public health and education, because now their kids have school fees. Now they can afford medicines and health care. It just had to be so literal, and everything had to fit in a box. And watching these small organizations send in these business proposals that I said, yes, this makes total sense. Yes, this is an efficient use of money. When I had to then bring that to the board to rubber stamp it and be able to send the funds, what came back was so infuriating. And I was so embarrassed to even have to go back and ask these questions and then ultimately reject them. It was really, really gross. The bureaucracy and the hoops they had to jump through, yet saying they cannot be trusted because there is no track record and they are an, African-based organization and they don't have the right paperwork. It was really frustrating. Even to get emergency funds from a flood sent over, had to go through multiple hours of meetings and eventually gets rejected. And I just gave up and sent my own personal funds to go get that done. That's just what happened. I had to leave. I was pretty much shoved out, but I said, the rate of speed of philanthropy and development is so slow. And I said, the only way that I can address these things in an efficient manner is to go the business route. We have to use business because guess what? Business is what makes the world go round these days. Business is what's buying politics. Business is what's buying, laws and policies that are made, whether they're good for the majority of the people or not. There's so much concentration of power really led just by a handful of billionaires and now a trillionaire in the world. And all that's fed on the media is just vitriol and hatred and war, and all of the worst things are the loudest things. And it just makes people feel like they want to put their head in the sand and give up and not do anything and say, what can I even do? And that's what they want us to do. They want us to stay complacent so that everything can stay just as is, because why would we want to change anything that is good for those who have the power and the money? So I said, what can I do? And the thing is, like, I would kind of do this and talk to people in the field who have been in it for so long, and they truly got my vision and what I was wanting to do. And they just couldn't do something from within, because they saw it as they rose up to where they are now. And they said, this is just how it is. This is just the way it is. You have to play the game, whether or not it's actually moving the needle towards what they say their mission and vision is, whether that be reducing poverty, ending world hunger. And so I started Align with Africa in response to what I had seen. I had seen a lack of transparency and accountability, and humans not seeing each other as humans. That's what I saw, and that's what I wanted to address. And how could I address that? So I started building Align with Africa with my colleagues, with my friends, with the communities that I had gotten to know over the years working in development. And I just spent the time of my own money, not having a job, just to build something with them that actually would benefit the development of the continent. And where we're at right now is, it started with this bag. This bag, it means so much to me. I bought it on one of my trips after starting Align with Africa, and it's just so unique and amazing. And, as I was iterating and trying to figure out how I could support small business, and specifically the artisans who make beautiful things in Africa, that is the small businesses that I really wanted to support. And really, this is like how it works, whether it be this amazing bag or this dress. Every piece carries the story of the hands and the hearts behind who makes the product. To me, this addressed both transparency, accountability, and storytelling that brings visibility that will connect you to humans across the world. Every piece has its own QR code. So as every time I would wear this, there was like, oh my God, where'd you get this from? And I would pull up pictures of, me going to get fitted in Nairobi and getting this amazing dress back in 2 days, and people thinking it was couture, and it was amazing. And so I was like, okay, what I love about technology and its use these days is it's made things accessible. I am a non-technical founder. I don't know how to do any of these things. And when I started out, for the first year, I thought I needed to lean on other people's expertise. The thing is, these people had been in these systems for a very long time and did not truly get what I was trying to build. And I was taken advantage of too many times to count. And I kind of just had to start over and focus. And how can I bring this? And luckily there's technologies that can help a non-technical founder build technical things. So I am able to put a QR code on an item, and up comes a product passport that traces the thread of every story. So that was really cool, but I needed product and figure out how to do that. And I could not afford to go fly back and forth anymore. And so with USAID imploding, I luckily got my co-conspirator, the teacher of everything that I know about the continent, the one who told me that I am a different kind of Mzungu, a different kind of foreigner that listens first, then asks questions, and then asks more questions, and then can figure out how to connect the dots of all that I bring from my experience to the challenges that they're facing. And this is so much more than just buying a cool bag. And people are asking lately, what's going on with your business? What's happening? Luckily, I've had Dora. Unfortunately, she lost her job working for, in the world of philanthropy and development once USAID imploded. And so I got to have her, where I said, Dora, I would love for this to be our first product, but I don't want to just copy this. Can you please find out who created this? Because it's not something I've ever seen in a market, and I get so many compliments every time I brought it all around the world. And because I have the relationships I do, and Dora is the person she is, she tracked down the artisan who created it. And I wanted to get some prototypes just so we can see what the cost of production was going to be and how much it costs to ship them to me. So I had these beautiful bags shipped to me. And, we figured out how can we use local shippers and how can we do it most efficiently and all of that and how much that was going to cost. And then we also started selling them locally in Nairobi, which luckily it was to some people who I had met through the world of development and philanthropy, people who I had met in New York during UNGA, and they live in Nairobi. And there are a lot of people who I think have just been waiting for me to figure it out. And a lot of it is like, once you get the funding, we are going to be in complete support of what you're doing. And I have spent the last couple years just speaking to these people, having them understand the vision. And I'm talking from people in every level of philanthropy, of government, who are eager and ready to partner once I get the funding. And a lot of them are like, we are going to be customers and all of this. Guess what? When I decided to do all this, I also had to start jumping into another world I knew nothing about. And that is the startup world. I know business. I have my MBA. I understand marketing. I understand all of that. What I did not understand or anticipate was what the funding landscape looks like for someone who looks like me, whose product does not fit in a tiny little box that can be put in category of fashion or of tech or of, all these things. And I've had so many people tell me, that is a great idea, and I will be a customer once, you get it all up and running. I will be a customer. I will be a customer. The thing is, like, how am I supposed to build the whole thing and have the team I need to really operationalize and build the systems that are very well laid out? I know how much it's going to cost. I know how much it's going to be to get the right people to build this with me. But guess what? I go into these spaces. I see the underbelly, and it's white tech bros getting funded for pretty stupid business ideas, like getting millions of dollars of funding for a pretty stupid idea that's probably not going to launch. Trust me, I was in their pitch videos. And there were just too many people who had validated the business case for what I'm doing and the impact it's going to create. And just to be told, this is a great idea, but did you know women get less than 2% of all venture capital funding? Oh, and by the way, you're a woman of color, so it's actually less than 1%. So good luck, but it's pretty unlikely anyone's going to fund you. If you don't have a millionaire, billionaire, mommy or daddy, or, someone who can fund it for you, good luck. Cute idea. If you do it, hey, I'll be a customer. So as I was learning the startup landscape, I started to see the same picture. I was like, I know this story. This is the story of development. This is the story of philanthropy. I know how this works. And the thing is, these systems are in place for a reason. And the thing is, those systems are big, and they probably won't fall for a little while. But all I could focus on was building something on the other side that truly brought in the collective. Because something that I truly believe is that, yes, the loudest who do the worst things are the ones that get all the attention. But, especially with the World Cup and everything that's been going on, the collective is giving me hope. I think a lot of people are waking up to see that this world wasn't built for them. And guess what? There are so many more of us that this world wasn't built for. And we have just been compliant to the system because this is what it is. And everyone has just resigned ourselves to this is just the way it is. So I'm going to have to do this funding thing a whole lot different. And just like I had to learn and be frustrated with a development system and then create a business that actually addresses everything that I saw was broken in development, I'm having to do this in the startup landscape too. And I truly believe that there are so many of you who will understand what I'm building and would get behind it. And if I can show these investors who so-called invest in impact, if I could show them that there is a customer base and that people will buy it, that is how the funding will come. And now I need your help in proving that. So I would love to walk you through, even if you just got 30 minutes of why I'm at this point. You got to see what I built. So pieces that you can order like this, let me grab it. These amazing, beautiful things that you would buy in your daily life. And as you're carrying them around, knowing that you're carrying a story, where we work with local filmmakers to tell documentary style stories about the people behind who makes these beautiful, stunning, luxurious things. And you get to follow its journey. So there is so much waste in this world, so much overproduction, and I decided I am not going to hold any inventory. Everything's made to order. This is made to order at scale. And how do I scale? Is by partnering with artisans across the continent so that the skill can remain with the artisan. The thing is, so all these bags I ordered, they were being made with what is commercially available and affordable for these artisans. Their craft is amazing, but what they are able to afford as far as materials are usually imported and cheap and not made with the best of what is available locally, because those who have had tanneries or weaving or cotton fields that have been passed down through generations, the local makers are outpriced and they're being used in some super bougie expensive brand, yet it's not available to the local makers. So the way it works for us is we charge you up front. Just like you were getting a Domino's pizza made, you pay for your pizza and then you get little updates. Just like in Domino's, they're like, Mike is putting the toppings on your pizza. It's going in the oven. This is you get to see the materials were sourced from this place because they have been producing fabric for decades, and it's been things that have been passed down. The leather was made because there is no waste, and it is the most beautiful material you've seen. And we will bring this to the artisan and we will pay them exactly what they asked for, plus an appreciation tip that is, more than they would typically see. And on top of that, 20% goes to a local organization, entrepreneur, whatever it is that artisan chooses, 20% goes to them. We are just a customer of this artisan. They have their own business. They are not employed by us. If people discover them through Align with Africa, that is fantastic, and you can go shop directly from them. But they know the pieces made for Align, for you, that not only are they getting paid beyond a prosperity wage, a lot of money is going to go towards something that will create true impact in their local communities. And that also elevates their craft, their profession. I've heard too many times of them saying that people don't take it seriously as an economically viable job, is to create things with your hands. And that cannot be the status quo, because guess what's going to happen? We are going to lose these traditional ways of making things. The grandmas, the aunties will have no one to pass down this knowledge, because their young people are told the only thing you can do are, white collar jobs. And maybe you'll get a job. Or maybe you'll just be complete brain drain and you'll be sent to another country to be a doctor for another country, and all you get will be remittances, and you can't make the impact that you really want to see. So if people know that what you supported, like this, can say like 20% went to a women's co-op to get beehives so that they can start their honey business, you can actually follow their story. So yeah, that's what this supported. This purchase supported that. Or it can be for new blackboards in a school. The thing is, like, so many things say what they support, but like no one really shows it. And this is trust and accountability on both sides. Because videos are being taken of these organizations that are being supported through this purchase, there's accountability on their end to say, look, we built the thing and we spent the money on the thing we said we were going to do, and like, look at this. And how are these videos going to be taken of this product passport? They are going to be taken by local content creators from these villages, from these areas, who are young people who are so talented and know the influencer landscape, the social media landscape. They make incredible videos, and they will be paid to do this. This is supporting the local creator economy, not just the local filmmakers that we will collaborate with to tell the docu-style stories, but having these content creators build the digital passport. So as you're awaiting your item, you can actually be connected real time. And so once that item lands on your doorstep, it's already created the impact that we promised, because you can see it. And as you walk around and people ask, oh my God, what is that? And you don't just say, oh, it's from Africa. You have them scan. You have them co-create a piece with an artisan, something that they would buy. So now the development isn't being reliant on donors. The development is being reliant on them creating a product that we want to buy, that the world wants to buy. And it's not just the rich Westerners. I specifically started to start in Nairobi for people to buy and get the same things that I am going to ship around the world. Is the price going to be different? Heck yeah, it is, because it's going to cost way more money to send it here in California than it is to ship in Nairobi locally. Yet, people on the continent, for them to know and feel that they have also contributed to the development of their own communities through supporting a purchase, that is amazing, because guess what? They need to be at the table of their own development. They really do. It's crazy that I even have to say that. As everything feels so heavy and dark, the things that unite us are honestly stories, entertainment, fashion, sport. We see how it's brought the world together, and the World Cup ends soon. And how can we maintain and ensure that we are staying connected to each other across the globe? So like, as we work with these African artisans and we build the systems on learning as we work with more artisans, how this supports and benefits them, think about how this would work if we work with artisans from other continents, from South America, from here in America, where there are people making things with their hands that they know 20% can give back to something local. This will put development in our hands. We could all be a part of it. And we can ensure and show, yes, all those other systems are still going to be happening. They're still going to be spending millions of dollars on wells that are going to be broken in 6 months, and then there is no water going to those communities. That's still going to happen. But what can we build on the other end that shows, hey, I'm here for you. I want to show up for you, and this is how I'm going to do it. So we can build alongside. And even those who are jaded within those systems, they know they can buy a dress that they're going to wear at the next conference. They could wear a bag once they're on their private jet somewhere, and kind of a silent, not protest. It's not a protest. It's leaning into consumerism, yet it's helping development in ways that they wish they could do in the capacity that they're in, yet they can't because the systems are what the systems are. And the team is ready. Honestly, here's the real honest truth is I can't have the two people I know who can unleash their superpowers on this world without the money to pay them to do it. And that needs to happen very soon so that this can become a reality, that we can build this community around supporting small business and supporting local development across the world, starting in Africa, because the world has done them an injustice over the centuries. And this is why I'm starting. And this is why we're aligning with Africa first. And once we learn our systems, we can then work with artisans across the world to bring more stories. Because guess what? These stories, they unite us. They see the humanity when you know that this was made by a mother who lost her husband and had to put her 3 girls through school. Those are the stories that connect us, that make us seem not so different from each other. And another part that I love about this is the community that's going to be built around it. You could post photos and videos of you wearing your things around the world, and others who chose the same style, yet obviously co-created, so it's definitely you. You can let the artisan know, because they'll be part of the social part of this, is seeing their work out in the world and how they're impacting the world, because so much is always one way. We just get to see the happy Africans, yay. No. I also want them to feel pride in their work so they could see their work in all the different places in this world, and how much it means to them that you feel good carrying these stories and spreading awareness and getting other people to purchase the same. That would be amazing. And really, I did this and realizing that there is so much more needed as far as transparency and accountability goes in commerce. There are wonderful, ethical businesses that would let us into their production in a heartbeat because they are proud that they take care of the people and take care of the planet in the things that they produce in this world. So imagine these QR codes when you're at a grocery store and you can scan it and see a story told by a local filmmaker about why this small business was created, why they started making this granola or this soap. And then you can see your batch being made, like where they source, working with a local farmer, to then the milling of it, to then, it being on your shelf. What if we had the choice to support companies that chose to be transparent, that chose to be accountable? We can start making choices in our own of what we will choose to support. So that technology is called Trace Every Thread. And it's starting within Align with Africa, being built within Align with Africa, because if we could build this tech in the most under-resources part of the world, we can have this tech be anywhere. And think about, yes, manufacturing is done in Indonesia, but will they let us into the factories and see that their workers are being taken care of? And guess what? We get to support the local economy who lives around these factories, who are the ones taking the videos. So guess what, creator community? This is an invitation for you as well. You could still do your Get Ready With Me videos, but every once in a while, why not make some actual money going and helping tell the story, to trace the thread of how things are being made, so that we as consumers can be the ones who choose what businesses win. And the thing is, this is not to destroy anything. If these big businesses who have huge marketing budgets yet spend very little on the care of the people on the planet who make it, if they start to see that consumers are leaning in a way that, hey, maybe they just do one line of what they're making that is transparent and see how well that does, slowly things will have to change. They'll have to change and make things better for the planet and the people who make it, because that's what us as consumers, and there are so many more of us, we are making these choices, and we can make these choices. So I need you to let me know. I'm going to make a website, because I guess what I could do that myself is commit. I don't actually want your money until I know the systems are in place. Pre-orders would be fantastic, but I totally understand that why would you pre-order something that you don't even know if it's going to come in existence? I want these to come into existence when I have the team ready to bring it to you in ways that I have envisioned. And the way to do that is like how you commit. And the thing is, I wanted this to be available. At first, this was going to be just for luxury, someone who would pay, $2,000 for a dress, $1,000 for a bag, which that's a drop in the bucket for a lot of the philanthropists I was around and business people I was around who are spending, $12,000 on a Fendi bag, which somebody asked me if this was a new Fendi, and I laughed because I spent $20 on this and not $20,000. But I was like, how can we also make this accessible? The thing is, I still want it to be made to order. So different things like this. I won't make the order with the artisan until I can commit to 10 people at $100 buying like a smaller handbag, or 20 people at $50 who would buy this like really cool AirPad thing made by Maasai women. If I can show investors where in the world these customers will come and who is going to support this new way of business. It's the old way of things being made. Because guess what? Back in the day, you would pay your milkman or your seamstress, and they would be paid, and then they would make what you had, and it would be slow, but it would come to you and you would know who they were. And with technology the way it is, it will be the slow way of making things, the way business started before industrialization and colonization, all of that happened. Is like we brought the best of what represented us to the world. And through commerce, we got to get to know each other through the things we produced. So let's get to know each other through the things we produce and the way we enjoy things. So that's what I would love to do. So go to the website, say what you'd commit to. All you have to do is say where you're at. You don't have to put your name or anything. And once we get the funding, and if you are that person who can fund this and who really want to fund what needs to be built so that there can be transparency, accountability, and humans seeing each other as humans. Thank you.